Hello devs, in this tutorial we are going to take a look at CSS layout. Yes, we are going to take a look at CSS layout. So with CSS layout, we are going to take a look at how elements are being displayed. Yes, how elements are being displayed and positioned. How elements are being displayed and what positioned. So we have this div here, and what this span here. So let's move on to our start sheet and let's see something. So first that we are going to take a look at is the display property. The display property. So display so sorry, display. First we are going to look at, so by default, no sorry, this div, for instance, this div by default are block. Div elements, they are block. If you want to know the difference between a block element and an inline element, you can check that in the HTML tutorial. Yes, we have that one covered in one of the chapters. The link will be in the description. So div is a block element. Yes, div is a block element. So we can what control how it's being displayed. So it's block. So we have block, we have the display, we have block, we have inline block. So right now it's block. So when I apply, select this value and refresh, nothing is going to happen. Let's use the inline block. Save, refresh. You see right now. So what the inline block is that although the thing is block element, right, but it's going to what exhibit the property of what an inline element. Yes, so it's although it's block element, but it was going to exhibit the property of an inline element. So right now the weight is no more going to be 100%, but right now it's going to be, I'm going to take the weight of its contents. That's what the inline does. So the block, when okay, for instance, this span, for instance, is what an inline element. Let's apply display block to it. When I save and refresh, it's going to what take the entire weight. You see it has swapped. Right now, applying an inline block to a block element makes that element an inline element. Okay, it makes it what exhibit the property of an inline element, whilst when you apply a display block towards an inline element, it exhibits the property of what a block element. So these are the difference. Inline element, so you can give it block, inline block, and another one we have what none. So what a none does is that it's going to what take away that thing. The thing is not going to appear. So when I change this block right now to none and save and refresh, that means you are not going to see I am an inline element. I refresh, it's going to vanish. That's what the none does. That none is what takes away that element. The none display none takes away that element, and what inline makes a block element, or makes that element exhibit the property of an inline element, and the block element to makes an element exhibits the property of a block element. So these are the most commonly used display property and value, its value, property and its value. So that's the inline element. We have the inline block, we have the block, we have the none. Next, let's take a look. The next layout we are going to take a look at is the position. So let me remove the none. Let's see and refresh our browser. So the next we are going to look at is the position. So by default, the default is what? Static. Default is static, and with position we have static, relative, fixed, absolute, and sticky. Static, relative, fixed, absolute, and what? Sticky. So the static is by default, and when you're talking about relative, it's going to take what? It is going to the position relative to the container that it was the inside. Is going to be position relative to the container that is what it finds itself inside. So let's use the span, say position relative, and say it's going to be there. So it's maintaining its position. So the next thing we can do about this position is that we can control its what? its movement away from the left, away from the right, away from the top, and away from the bottom. So we can say it should move away from the left. So I can say it should move away from the left. Let's say 4 rem. I save, I refresh. See, it has shifted. It has moved away from the right. Yes, left. So the same way you can do same for the top. Say I want let's use 6 rem. Let's use a huge number and see the difference. I refresh, it's going to come down. So you can apply. So the top down, that's what's going to be done. So by the relative position 2, you are going to apply the same, but the difference between the relative and the relative and the absolute is that the relative, upon moving it around its previous position or its previous placement, is going to be there. It's going to reserve its place, although you have moved it to different place, but its previous position or its previous place is going to be there. But with the absolute, when you move it, it's not going to reserve its previous position. It goes with it everything. Yes, it's past its luggage, everything moves along. But with the inline, it says, hey, no one should what tempt my place, because I can come back and resume my place. But the absolute, it takes everything, leaves no command. It takes everything and leaves the place. So right now, this one was, although it has moved, but its place is what reserved. So let's try and use absolute on the what? On a div. Say position absolute. Let's save and refresh. You see how it is. So that means, see right now, relative. Right? The reason why they are overlapping is that position absolute has top 0, left 0. So it is what at the what top corner. It has no place. Right now, it has no place. That's what it does. It has no place. Yes, it has no place. But the relative, because it has no place, that means the relative can what go and occupy the space of the div. Because it has no place, the span can what go and occupies the place of the what of the div. So that's what it's doing. So with this, you can also give it a top. You can also give it a top. Let's give it a top of 2 rem. And let's save it and refresh. Oh, sorry about the unit. You must be careful, otherwise you are going to what face. You see, so absolute to its container, absolute to its what container. And right now, what is the container? That is the body, right? The container is the body right now. Is this body. So it's moving away from the top of this body. That's the 2. This is a 2 rem. So we can what increase the number to 4, and it's going to what come down. So its place is not reserved, but the inline, it reserves its place. Yes, it reserves its place. And we have another position. We have fixed. Remove the relative from the. We have fixed. So when we use fixed, that means it's going to be there. It is not going to move. It is fixed. Let me demonstrate something right now. I want this text to cover the entire screen. Okay. I want this text to cover the entire screen, so that I make something clear. Okay, let me save. Let me refresh. Okay. Let me move the border, because it's giving us something we don't like. We want to what? Scroll. So let me give this thing. Let me give it width of 100%. We want to scroll. We want to see how the fix works. So save, refresh. Okay, so right now we have fixed. So upon scrolling it, we see that. Let me give it a background color so that it doesn't confuse us. Okay, so right now this is the div that we gave it a what position of face, so it's going to be there no matter what. It's going to be there. When we scroll, see, it's there, it's not moving. You understand? Yes, that's what the fix does. Is when you place it at a particular place right now, yes, and you what give it a position fixed, that means it's going to be there. Whether you scroll, you do what, it's going to be there. That's what is that. Fixed is fixed. Yes, fixed. And we have another property that is interesting. That's a sticky. Let's use sticky. Sticky, let's save and refresh. So with sticky, on scrolling, you see it goes a while, then it stops. So let's say when it's at the top, when it gets to its original place, let's say original position that it was, let me bring it down a bit and see something. It's frame. Okay, so this, okay, see, sticky tool is somehow tricky, somehow acts like face, but it's not fixed. Fixed is it takes that place. Yeah, when element has a position fixed, it's not going to move. Yes, but the sticky is going to move, and at some point in time it's going to be fixed. That's what the sticky does. That's it. An element with position sticky is position based on the user scroll position. It's what base is position based on the user scroll position. And so that's what is that. So right now in this chapter we've taken a look at what the display, being it block, inline, non-inline block. Yes, and we've also taken a look at the position. We have the static that I said is what by default relative, fixed, absolute, and sticky. Relative, absolute, fixed, and what sticky. The next thing we are going to look at is what the overflow CSS layer. We are going to look at overflow. 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 So, okay, let me save this. Refresh. Okay, let's this be there. So overflow we have visible, hidden, scroll, and auto. Visible, hidden, scroll, and auto. So let me give it the width of 100%, and let the height, let's make it 50 pixels, right? Show plus s, save. Let's give it this content, right? Save, refresh. Okay, oh, we are just causing something that we don't like. Okay, let me move it from there. Okay, let's give it a border so that we see the effect very well. And let's remove this and give it a margin bottom. You see how I'm playing around with it? See, margin bottom, that means I want a space what to come what beneath it. Let's say margin bottom 1 rem. Let me see. So you see there is a space around it. So oh, let's remove this div from there. I want it to be very clear and understanding. Okay, yes. So refresh. Okay, let me give it a space inside it. Okay, so right now from this we can see that the content is what more than it. See, because some are coming outside and stuff. So we can do that. We have a property called overflow. Yes, overflow. So you can see what, say overflow to be what, visible, that means you want to see. So visible, that means you want to see it, right? You save, you refresh, nothing happens. And another one is what, hidden. Hidden means it's going to hide everything after the container, everything that's outside the container. You are not going to see it. So I refresh, you see it cuts it off. You are not going to see everything outside the container, only those inside. And then we have scroll. Scroll, you save, you refresh. This scroll helps you to what, see the contents that are not showing. It helps you to see the contents that are not showing. So with this, you see we have the scroll bar showing right now. Yes, we have the scroll bar here. You can see it, the scroll bar. Then you can use to control it and see the content inside. So the overflow is also important. So overflow, we have hidden, that means you are not going to see it. We have visible, that means you are going to see every content that appears outside the container. And then the scroll, which helps you to what, scroll and see the content that are hidden. So this is about, so in this chapter we've covered the display property and its values, block, inline, none, and inline block. And we've also covered position, static, relative, fixed, absolute, and sticky. And the final thing we covered in this chapter is the property, that's the overflow, and its values, visible, hidden, scroll. So these are CSS properties, the layouts that was you are that's what you are going to use it often. You are going to use it more times in your what, in your journey. And you're going to use more time in your journey. The display block, inline block, and stuff, you are going to really use them in your journey. So this is all about layouts. The layouts we've covered in this chapter, the most used layouts that we've covered in this chapter.